The German Chancellor has a lot to deal with. An international coalition is bombing Muammar Gaddafi's troops in Libya. A nuclear disaster is unfolding in Japan. And the future of the euro is in question. It's at times like this that politicians have the chance to prove themselves.
This is an opportunity to show that politics can make a difference. A frequent criticism in this age of globalization is that all the important decisions are made in many quarters, not by the governments.
What's called for are clear decisions. The international community has decided to support the Libyan rebels. France, Britain, and the United States are bombing Gaddafi's forces. Germany, however, is staying out of it, not saying yay, but not saying nay, annoying its coalition partners, and abstaining in the UN Security Council vote. Theoretically, it supports the mandate.
A UN Security Council majority has come out in favor of it, and so I've made it very clear that this is our resolution too, and it's also our desire to see it implemented successfully.
I'm sure there was one reason or another for our abstention in the Security Council, but there were more good reasons to say yes. I'm not the only one annoyed by the fact that we didn't stand by the United States.
Many Christian Democrats, members of the Chancellor's own party, were annoyed by the abstention and made no secret of it.
Decisions like this have to be understandable, even if their consequences can't be readily foreseen. If not, people will say government isn't able to take action and is unable to make decisions when they're needed.
A clear decision can be as much a mistake as an unclear one. The government has certainly changed course sharply. In the midst of the Fukushima nuclear disaster, Chancellor Merkel seemed to abandon her previous nuclear policies. Last year, her government saw a bill through Parliament to extend the lifespan of Germany's nuclear power plants. Now, the new safety review has effectively reversed that.
I want to make it clear that there are to be no taboos for the safety review. This is precisely the reason we'll be suspending the extension for German nuclear power plants that had only just been passed.
Many in the Chancellor's own party find this about-face hard to understand, and the Conservatives' parliamentary group feels passed over. It's turning into a credibility issue for the Chancellor within her party and among voters.
If you correct your course too often in a short space of time, it can easily smack of opportunism. And once it does, you could argue that politics starts losing credibility.
Credibility can mean everything on certain vital issues, where money is concerned, for example. Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble had to find billions for the Euro Rescue Fund. The money will be earmarked for hopelessly indebted Eurozone members, which means it won't be available to benefit German taxpayers in any other way. Some coalition politicians don't want to pay.
There's a lot of dissatisfaction among both Free Democrat and Conservative parliamentarians. Many find it difficult to back this, because it will be a major burden on German taxpayers for decades to come, and it'll scupper all efforts we've made up to now to balance our own budget.
To make things worse, the governing party's parliamentarians also feel left out of the process. They increasingly find themselves having to rubber stamp decisions that have already been made and that are presented as the only way to go.
We have to have the opportunity to take part in the political decision-making process. Right now, the room to maneuver for us members of parliament is not that big. Everyone knows that if they voice criticism, it'll only churn things up in the party. And nobody wants that during election campaigns.
It's almost as if every external crisis triggers a new crisis within Merkel's government. Instead of calming troubled waters, the policymakers only stir them up even more.
Crises should be the finest hour for politicians. They should use crises to make very clear decisions that will help them regain voter confidence.
Libya, Japan, and the Eurozone all represent crises that Angela Merkel has to tackle and have thereby served to expose internal problems within her government and turned 2011 into a year of crisis for the Chancellor as well.